everyone. So today I would like to explain chapter 15, Teaching Listening from Teaching by Principle book by Douglas Brown. Let's get started. Okay, integrating the four skills. The integrations of at least two or more skills is now the typical approach within a communicative interactive framework, and as Henkel 2006 note, in an age of globalization, pragmatic objective of the language learning place an increased value of integrated and dynamic multi-skills instructional models with a focus on meaningful communication and the development of learners' communicative competence. And this is the advantage of integrating two or more skill. The first, production and reception are two sides of the same coin, and then interaction involves sending and receiving message. And by attending primarily to what learners can do with language, and we invite any or all of these four skills that are relevant into the classroom arena. And then one skills will often reinforce another, and most of our natural language performance entails connection between language and the way we think and feel and act. And then listening comprehension in pedagogical research. Listening as a major component in language learning and teaching first hit the spotlight in the late 1970s with James Asher, 1977, worked on total physical response. Studies looked at the effect of a number of different contextual characteristics and how they affect the speed and efficiency of processing oral language. Group in 1994 identified five such factors: text, interlocutor, task, listener, and process characteristic. In other research, attention was given to types of meaning involved in the act of comprehending language. In this perspective, phonological, syntactic, semantic, and pragmatic knowledge are considered, along with nonverbal elements involved in most real-world listening. And then listening is not a one-way street. It is not merely the process of an interactional receiving of edible symbols. Let's look at the seventh process in detail. The hearer process consists of constituents, and then uh, okay, let me check it out first. Okay, and extend. Uh, let's look at the seven processes in detail. The first is decoding auditory sounds and then determining the function of the speech event, and then activating schemata, and then assigning literal meanings and assigning intended meanings, and determining the demands for short or long-term memory, and then retaining essential information or meanings. And then types of spoken language. Much of our language teaching and energy is devoted to instruction in mastering English conversation. There are types of spoken language. The first is monologues. It's like planned, rehearsed, or spoken from a written text or notes, and then spontaneous or impromptu or unplanned. And then for the dialogues, it's interpersonal or social or conversational, and then it's a transactional or informational and factual. And then, what makes listening difficult? There are characteristics of spoken language. There are clustering in spoken language due to memory limitation and our predisposition for chunking or clustering. We break down speech into smaller groups of words. And then redundancy. A spoken language, unlike most written language, has a good deal of redundancy. The next time you're in a conversation, notice the refreshing repetitions, elaborations, and later insertion of I mean and you know. And then reduced form. While spoken language does indeed contain a good deal of redundancy, it also has many reduced form and sentence fragments. And then performer variables. Native listeners are conditioned from very young age to weed out such performance variables, whereas they can easily interfere with comprehension in second language learning. And then colloquial language, idiom, slang, reduced form, and shared cultural knowledge are all manifested at some point in conversation. Colloquialisms appear in both monologues and dialogues, and rate of delivery. Learners will nevertheless eventually need to be able to comprehend language delivered at varying rates of speed and at time delivered with few pauses. And then stress, rhythm, and intonation. Uh, because English is a stressed time language, English speech can be a terror for some learners as mouthfuls of syllables, some spilling out between stress points. Intonation patterns are very significant not just for interpreting straightforward elements such as questions, statements, and emphasis, but for understanding more subtle message like sarcasm, endearment, insult, solicitation, or praise. And then interaction. Conversation is especially subject to all the rules of interaction, negotiation, clarification, attending signals, turn taking, and topic nomination, maintenance, and termination. Okay, so this is the micro skills and macro skills of listening. For uh, Micro and macro skills of listening comprehension, adapted from Richard's 1983. I'll mention only several points. For micro skills, retain change of a language of different length in short-term memory, and then discriminate among the distinctive sounds of English, and recognize English stress patterns, words in stress and unstressed position, rhythmic structure, intonational contour, and their role in signaling information uh, and etc. And then for the macro skills, recognize cohesive devices in spoken discourse, and then recognize the communicative functions of utterances according to situation and participation goals, and then for situation participation goals using real world knowledge, and so on. Okay, and then types of classroom listening performance. And then there are types of classroom listening performance. The first, reactive, and then intensive, responsive, selective, extensive, and interactive. Okay, so we are into the principle for teaching listening skills. The fifth category of listening, interactive task, is deliberately omitted from this list since such interaction involves speaking and will be covered in the next chapter. So with this brief outline, we hope you can gain a bit of a picture of some assessment possibilities in listening comprehension. The principles are include a focus on listening in an integrated skills course, and then use techniques that are stimulating and motivating, and then utilize authentic language and context, and then include pre, while, and post listening techniques, and then carefully consider the form of listener responses, and then encourage development of listening strategies, and then include both bottom up and top down listening techniques. Okay, so this is gonna be the assessing types of listening and micro and micro skills. Okay, there are intensive listening task, and then responsive listening task, and selective listening task, and also extensive listening task. Okay, so that's all about the chapter 14. Thank you for your attention, and see you.